Well, hello again, everybody. It's that time of the week, Thursday night football pregame show, your preferred show, of course. The Inside Blitz, week number 9. Ron is here, and guess what? Chris will be joining us shortly. Ron, what's going on? You guys had a pretty good, extensive show yesterday, huh?
We covered a lot of topics yesterday, but as always, we only delved briefly into this week. And so we save a little bit of that for this show so that we can talk a little bit more about matchups. And one of the things that interests me this week is the fact that there are several matchups with playoff implications and seeding implications this week. This is kind of a sneaky good week in the NFL calendar, Ted.
Yeah, and it seems so strange. We're already at week number 9. We say this every year. We say this every week, but maybe when you get older, it just goes faster. I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, that's what they always say. To quote Jackson Brown, that's what he says in one of his most famous songs. Yes. But, yeah, then the season's going to go by like a blink if somebody doesn't do something this week. And what makes this week interesting again, and what makes next week's shows going to be really a lot of fun, is that the trading deadline is going to happen next Tuesday. And some teams are waiting until the results this week to determine whether or not they're buyers or sellers.
Yeah, a lot depends on what goes on this Sunday. I will be at the Rams-Saints game. I almost said, you know what, the Saints are in town. I can live without that. But there's always people to talk to in the room. And this is a big game for the Rams, too, coming off the bye and see how they will do after their trip to London. They're trying to get healthy again with Puka and the boys. But I was at the Chargers game last weekend, and it was nice to run into a couple of guys that are totally fun in the locker room. One of them is Daiyan Henley. I don't think a lot of people know about him, but he might have the best personality in the league. And we'll hear from him in a few minutes. I got to speak shortly with Ladd McConkey as well, the leading receiver for the club. And then the Chargers' new running back, Kimani Vidal, who, he was on the practice squad a couple of weeks ago. He's had back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. And boy, did they need that. He's probably Jim Harbaugh's favorite guy in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, workmanlike effort, obviously, last Thursday, the kind of Jim Harbaugh game that you'd expect. Ted, you were fined $15,000 because you couldn't get my tight end Gatson on the show.
No, he wasn't there. When I went over to his locker, he wasn't there. And then, I wanted Joe Alt the most. And because he came back, he was a huge part of this game. And it was so obvious what he did on the line. And he was standing there. He was getting dressed. And I had to go pick somebody. He wasn't ready to talk yet. So I went to get somebody else. And by the time I came back, he was gone. So, it's all timing. There's nothing you can do about it. But
it just proved that Gatson was even too elusive for your coverage.
Exactly. And he had no interest in talking to me what the proof was. He probably saw me and he ran in the other room. But anyway, I got some good stuff. I know you're going to really enjoy it. But, with Thursday Night Football tonight, Lamar Jackson is back. And the question is, are the Ravens back? Because sometimes it's not just about their offense. Their defense has been awful, but it was better last week. So your thoughts on the Ravens?
I don't know that they're back or they're not back right now. They got some bodies back, but their defense, some of what they did last week was a combination of their opponent not doing a great job offensively. And we know that Chicago is kind of like that anyway.
Yep.
So I would still be worried about Baltimore protecting late leads, for example.
Yeah,
having Lamar Jackson fresh and back, that's great. Relying on Henry, that's great. Getting Zay Flowers back, hopefully Isaiah Likely back to that chemistry he had. I don't have a lot of reservations about their offense. I do still have some concerns about their defense.
Yeah, and what have they done to really overcome their short issues during the first several weeks of the season defensively? Maybe a couple guys got healthy, but overall they're not the same team. So the question is, will they ever be this season?
Uh, it's a tough issue, and I don't like to harp on what's negative all the time here. But the problem is they draft very well. When people go down, it's next man up, and this is a loaded roster. They sign some free agents with tons of experience, but they have an extremely young defensive coordinator, and they're riding it out with him. And maybe he's just not the answer.
Yep. What do you think of the spread itself tonight?
Can't do much about it. Miami, there were a couple teams that were almost in quit mode, and then all of a sudden Miami steamrolls Atlanta, which is probably more of an Atlanta problem. But when Tua gets hot, and you saw the highlights, slant over the middle works, slant over the middle works. I mean, those are his kinds of plays. That's probably not the way you attack Baltimore. You'd rather go up and down, the short, and then the button hook turn into a stop and go, as they used to call it in our day. And so you try to get them over the top. Tua's going to have to throw a little bit differently, I think, than normal. Achan is a good weapon. They have run past balance when they need to. The problem with Miami, and why I think the spread is where it is that Miami's defense, if a team has run past balance like Baltimore will probably bring to the table, Miami's not going to stop that. Miami, their only chance is to win against Baltimore's offensive line. Easier said than done. Baltimore's offensive line, though, this year, 22 sacks allowed. So it's not the same offensive line that we're used to seeing. I realize Jackson wasn't in for all of that. But that's the place that you have to win. For Miami to be a factor in this game, they're going to have to slow down Jackson.
The last few weeks we talked about how maybe the Dolphins are starting to give up on their coach, and maybe the situation could be in cruise mode soon. But I think a Thursday night game is actually perfect for them because they're in the spotlight, and nobody wants to show that kind of a negative factor when when you are the only game in town. In that respect, I think it's good timing.
Good timing that they're off a win as well. Because,
exactly, of course.
Yeah. They're going to get back up to speed. The head coach strategically, if I close my eyes, I'd envision him as a mad scientist in a room cooking up something or whatever. But as a leader of people, he's not dynamic. I mean, there are less. Tom Landry may not have been a dynamic leader in his day and age, but he certainly knew the game frontwards and backwards. So my take on Miami's head coach is he's not very dynamic. He's got to do it by other diabolical means. And if that's not working in the win-loss column, the players could lose interest. At least they have interest for the short week game. So I'm hoping that it'll be a competitive, fun game to watch.
I know one person who lost interest this last week, and I'm wondering if this woman here is related to you. Look at the look on her face.
Related to me.
How did this game affect you? That exactly the look you had during this portion of the game?
No, she's much happier than I was.
I saw that. And I said, I got to put that up because I know what that game meant to your day.
2-2 day, but that one was costly because it was also in a money line parlay where all they had to do was win the game.
That's
and
awful.
You're leading by 14. You even have the ball with 1:36 left, 3 timeouts, and all you need is a field goal. And they throw 4 straight incompletions. I still think I was right that the Jets were not ready for that game. Fatigued like crazy, especially defensively.
Right.
But I understand that it's not necessarily a bad beat. It's more of a situation where I took a team that doesn't have a defensive identity.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
But for the Jets to get 39 on that team is still unbelievable.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually score 39 in the first month of the season. Yeah. So, it's not good at all. One of the stats that I don't think people are talking a lot about the backup quarterbacks so far. There's 11 of them already through 8 weeks that are starting, and that is an all-time record. There's injuries here.
Is that an all-time record? Because we had 64 one year.
Well, through 8 weeks is what I understand.
Okay.
Is the record. And anyway you look at it, it's too many. And, we're going to go back to not just quarterbacks as much because, the rules are obviously 1,000% in their favor to
Sure.
not get hurt. But the non-contact practices, we could talk about this forever, and we're going to. Are they good? Remember, I got a chance to talk to the Chargers defensive coordinator earlier this year and asked him about that. And he said it's always a concern because if you will watch every single week, there is some bad tackling going on out there. It really is.
Yeah. No, bigger, stronger, faster. So in some ways, there's going to be more toll on the human body. These guys are built. They work out 12 months a year. They don't work out in football shape, to your point, 12 months a year.
Yeah.
And a point I started to make yesterday, and I wish I would have compiled the numbers. There were about 5 people who did that holdout kind of thing that we see. And one of them was Hendrickson, and there were a couple of others. 4 out of those 5 have missed games early in the year because they're not in football shape. You can fade those guys in terms of props, because they're not going to last a whole season. They try to get back into shape a little faster. They ramp up the process, and it doesn't quite work that day. You need time. I miss the 2-a-days. Of course, selfishly, I miss the 2-a-days because I don't have to participate in them. If I played in them, I'd be cutting 2 and I'd be done. But I miss the 2-a-days to watch these guys get in. Let me give you another example, just not to belabor the point. The Lions were a mess week 1. Yeah. One of the most experienced teams, to where their coach, Dan Campbell, mentioned more than once that we weren't ready to start the season. But that didn't mean that the Lions weren't an exceptional team. They're third in my power ratings. They just acknowledged the fact that they weren't ready to start the season. That was a very good spot for Green Bay against the Lions. The Lions turned around, put it together, and you realize what kind of roster and team that they have. Yeah. That's what we look like in week 1 and 2 with the Houston team. Even with the Rams weren't firing on all cylinders. The teams that don't do enough work in the preseason, they're still fine teams, but it takes them a while to get going.
And then, so we mentioned the backup quarterbacks, and, here's a look at your leading passing yard guys to this point, and a few surprises, and the one that stands out, well, actually 2 stand out the most. The last 2, Jones and May, where are these guys coming from?
Well, every one of these guys deserves special mention in one way, shape, or form.
Look who's here, by the way.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Hi, guys.
I want to make a point about all 5 of these guys, because this is why preseason work is important. Yep. We knew, based on the way the Chargers drafted last April, that they were going to switch over to more of a passing offense. They drafted and they re-signed Allen. I mean, they reshaped their entire wide receiver room. No surprise that Herbert's there. Look at what Mahomes got as toys this year. Stretch the field guys. Thornton, he got Rice back. He got Worthy year 2. You knew this year at this time, Mahomes was completing passes for under 10 yards per reception. Right. Dak Prescott has always been fabulous off injury. Daniel Jones is a success story. You got out of the New York environment and you got to a different team, whatever's happening. And Drake May is in week 2 with Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. All 5 of these, you could go back and say, this is why it happened.
Yeah, and Daniel Jones will continue to be a story this year, just what he's doing. I mean, look at this history here with the Colts team. And there's a few good names on this list, don't you think, Ron?
Yeah, I've heard about this Unitas guy, and this Andrew Luck. He has a good parody account on Twitter, and the Peyton Manning guy, I've seen him in commercials.
Exactly. Yeah. Who are these guys, or used to be these guys? Anyway, I mean, Daniel Jones' story just continues to grow, and Indy's at Pittsburgh this week, and against that defense, you know what? The last 2 weeks, the offensive player of the week happened to face the Pittsburgh defense. Is that a coincidence?
This is a good time for Chris to chime in on the conversation, because he has a lot of good things to say about Indy.
Chris, who?
Against
great to see you, baby.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about, well, I'm not sure what we're talking about Daniel Jones, but facing the Pittsburgh Steelers this week for Indy.
Yeah, can you believe that Darnold and Jones were on the Minnesota Vikings roster and they're stuck with who they are stuck with? But
yeah, it's pitiful, but that's a whole different story.
I think that's a very interesting game. We've seen all season long teams that are supposed to be in flat spots, especially Indianapolis and New England. They just glide right through, smooth sailing. And this is one of those spots where you have Pittsburgh coming off a prime time, embarrassing performance, and Indianapolis just on a roll like we've never seen before. It's supposed to be Pittsburgh's sweet spot, especially getting points at home. But
right.
I double checked this morning. I have Pittsburgh as a bottom 10 team in the league.
Wow.
Bottom 10.
And their defense certainly is, for sure.
What they've accomplished to appear to be as good as they are is smoke and mirrors to just look that mediocre. Yeah.
So, but again, why shouldn't Indy continue to roll this week against that D? This is when you have Jonathan Taylor and that line playing as well as they are, they're doing whatever the hell they want, and you're doing against a Steelers defense that is incredibly inconsistent, and you can't trust anything going on that defensive side.
Yeah, but Indianapolis had to punt last week, so they're kind of fading.
Oh yeah, that's true. It's all over for them. Anyway, good for Daniel Jones. He's doing what he needed to do, and I love this picture that I saw online here.
That is good.
Isn't that a great
7-1?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive stuff. And Chris wasn't with us last week, but the stuff that I played with Ron, the interviews with Indianapolis, the guys talking about how he is incredibly prepared. And that was the word that came up. His preparation is like nobody can do it better, literally. So, good for them. We'll see how long that lasts. Got to stay healthy, baby. What can I say? And how about the Chargers going to Tennessee this week? Obviously, that's not exactly one of the games of the week, but I got to feature my Chargers guys that I'm going to bring on here coming up here in a few seconds. Ladd McConkey, who's not much of a speaker, went to the University of Georgia. I think he played, Ron, you'll remember this. I forgot to look it up, but he played with Stetson Bennett 1 or 2 years, right?
Not sure that he was one of the go-to guys during that time. He really emerged the last 2 years, and Bennett was gone then.
Okay. But so McConkey is a real quiet guy, doesn't like to speak a lot, and not in a bad way. He's just an introverted guy. But he's been really nice to me. I walked up to his locker right out of the blue and said, "Hey, Ladd, you got a minute?" He said yes. So let's hear from him after their win last week.
I think the interesting thing is, Ladd, that you guys were down 7-0, but actually you weren't, and then you're up 14-0.
Yeah.
How weird is that start?
Yeah, it's a huge swing.
Totally.
Huge for us. So yeah, it was great that it happened. It was a close call.
Yeah.
But good that we got back on track.
Talk about return of Joe Alt and what that means to you.
It was huge.
Yeah.
Obviously as a player, but as a presence as well. He's the captain of the team, and just to have him, that bond, that O-line. I know it helps Justin out.
Yep.
But he's a hell of a player too, so it was good to have him.
He's so young though to be a captain, isn't he?
Yeah.
To be the leader he is.
That's just the respect that this team has for him.
Really.
No doubt.
Yeah. I mean, do you feel is it different like with him when he's in there in that respect?
100%. Yeah, just the hard work he puts in, the hours that he dedicates to his craft. It's awesome.
Okay, so and obviously you got to have time for Justin, and that's helped big time because way too much pressure when your run game can't be what you want it to be.
No doubt. The run game was huge tonight.
Yep.
Kimani stepped up, ran super hard.
How good was that guy over there today?
Yeah, he's a stud. I said earlier, I was like, I'd love to know what his yards after contact. He was bouncing off.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Kept going, so he ran super hard. It was awesome.
How big of a game was this because of the fact that you've been up and down?
Yeah.
And so you got to take care of biz at home, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Quick turnaround. Thursday night game, coming off a loss. We know what we want to do. We know what we had to do. So hopefully, this, jump starts just get us rolling into the back half of the season.
And this is sort of a bye right here,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, no doubt. It'll help us.
Yep.
Some guys banged up, get healthy, and get rolling.
Great to see you, man.
Yep,
Good game.
Thank you.
All right, so that's Ladd McConkey. I don't know what's going on with that audio there, and it keeps skipping. Anyway, talk about Joe Alt, Ron. Just huge considering their O-line is all screwed up until that week.
It allows the Chargers to do what they want to do, get the run and the pass rolling at the same time, especially since obviously they don't have Najee Harris and they won't have Hampton for another week or so.
Yep.
So they have to get something going because they don't have the traditional run game that the coach really wants. One thing about Ladd McConkey, the word that comes to mind, it came to mind at Georgia and it comes to mind now. And I just looking at him, it came to mind how detailed he is.
Yeah.
That's the way he runs his routes. That's the way he is there for his quarterback. The word I would use for him is detailed.
Yeah, that's a good point. And what a route runner he is. Again, he's one of these guys. I told you this the first time I saw him in practice after they drafted him last year. It's like, who is that number 15 guy? I had no idea who he was. And they didn't have numbers on their jerseys. And I was watching him he just stood out. I felt like a scout the way I was taking notes in my head. And then I found out, oh, that's McConkey. And boy, was he a standout as a rookie in that respect.
Yep. Yeah. And that was a team that they didn't have Keenan Allen back with them. Yep. And they drafted Trey Harrison, another rookie there. And obviously the guy that everybody said, oh, they don't have a tight end. No, they have a couple of tight ends. They drafted Gadsden. Gadsden, all he's done is catch 5 catches per game that he's been eligible to play in. So they've got a lot of toys there. It's not just McConkey now.
Yeah, and that's my assignment to get Gadsden ASAP just for you and our viewers, of course. But let's hear from the guy who was on the practice squad all season until there were no running backs left. And it's like, okay, no problem. We'll put him in and he'll get over 100 yards per game the last 2 weeks to help the Chargers get into the W column. And that is Kimani Vidal. Interesting kid. And I grabbed him in front of his locker there.
This day, doing what you needed to do as if you were a first stringer. Now it's time to take care of this.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to take advantage of my opportunities. That's really what it is.
How about the O-line, though? I mean, so beat up, and you lost another guy again. And what was it like in them opening the holes for you?
It was great just to see those guys step in and, not miss a beat and just for us to continue to just churn like a machine.
What importance of getting Alt back, though, too, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was great. You just feel his presence when he's on the field. And, it's just great to have him back just as a person, too,
Really?
You hate to see guys, going through injuries and stuff. So it was great having him back.
So how good can you guys do? Because now, after the first 3 wins, it's like, okay, a little up and down. What's going on inside this room?
Yeah, I mean, we're just trying to just focus on the next week. Really to go just beat the team that week. It doesn't have to do anything with like people we play, anything like that. We're just trying to get better as a team and win the game.
Yeah, but Coach Harbaugh is about running. He loves the run game. And that means you got to love him as a head coach, right?
Yeah, I sure do, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but when you lose your first 2 stringers and you lose your O-line, it's like, wait a minute, we can't do exactly what we want to do here, right? Mm-hmm. So, what's the approach on that?
Just to get ready. I mean, there's nothing else you could really do. I mean, we have to run the ball to protect Justin. That's how we view it. It's not, like going away from Justin or anything like that. We're just trying to protect him, and the run helps the pass. And, so that's all we're trying to do is just win games.
Last thing, at the beginning of the game, it looked like you're down 7-0, and instead you're up 14-0. How crazy is that?
Yeah, that was a big momentum shift.
Exactly.
It definitely helped us in the game.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
All right, so that's Kimani Vidal, who is just, you talk about plug and play. Hold on here a second. This guy got in here way too fast.
Doing what you needed to do as if
Okay,
you were a first
something's
stringer.
going on here. I don't know what's happening with my.
Yeah,
Hold
I
on a
mean-
second, guys. I'm trying to remove these people. Anyway, your thoughts on Joe Alt and what he meant to this group and the run game, as Vidal said, guys, protecting Justin Herbert, because the previous weeks he was throwing like 45 passes. That's not going to work.
All right, Chris goes first.
Chris,
What were you talking about, Carol Alt? She was a pretty good model.
that's a long time ago. You know, she used to. I think she was married to Ron Duguay, the old hockey player. Does that sound right?
Yeah, maybe he made the rounds.
Anyway, I love the old references. If Ron, if you're watching, hey, tell me it wasn't great to get your name dropped in here. Go ahead, Chris.
I was multitasking. We're on the Chargers here.
That is correct, sir.
I like what Ron said yesterday, where Jim Harbaugh teams traditionally have a history of not playing with their food, and he likes to have teams, put other teams away, and
right.
I started to think about it, and Ron's right. Jim Harbaugh teams, they don't like to play with their food, so this is going to be one of those situations. Week 7, 8, and 9 seem to be notorious for home underdog upsets, winning games that they're not supposed to,
right,
out of the blues unexpectedly. So, it's a tough spot for the Chargers. I mean, when you look at the line and you sit there and say Chargers laying more than a touchdown, that seems silly, but that's what the metrics say that it should be. So I just think the Chargers offense is clicking well, and I expect the top performance out of them. I think they really showed that they're kind of got things back on track when they got some of these players back, especially all.
Exactly. And Tennessee, Ron, where are they? Are they on the bottom for you right now?
They are at the bottom. They are 32nd in the league. They've already made 2 trades prior to the trade deadline. So, they're not thinking much about this year. Chargers get a break. Mentioned this yesterday. They have 10 days between games. So a little bit more of a chance to focus. One more thing about Vidal, a question that I am... I see you get more demerits because I thought you were going to ask me about his draft status.
Okay, well, tell me.
I had him rated. He 4 years at Troy. He didn't jump ship. Yards per carry.
By the way, Troy to me is a USC, but go ahead.
Yeah.
The hell do I know?
Troy, whatever. I think they're the Troy Trojans. I don't know.
Are they really? Okay. I've never
5.1 per carry. They're in Alabama, by the way.
Okay.
5.1 per carry. I wrote about him in the draft, and what I wrote about is that he has pass catching skill as well. I haven't charted what he did the first couple of days that he's played versus the pass, but he has that skill. He has the yards per carry to get to the NFL. This is not a fluke that he could run in a Jim Harbaugh offense. I just wanted to make that point.
Sure. No, that makes sense. In a way, he's sort of the perfect guy to have on the practice squad, right? Because he can do his job. He's not a big guy, so he's, you got to protect him as well for the long haul and not too many carries.
Yeah, well, last year the Chargers lacked a running back that had pass catching skills. Vidal was a rookie and he was eased into the lineup. I thought he would assume that role, but then they drafted Hampton, who also has that skill in addition to being a solid runner. So now they have 2 guys with pass catching skills. I'm trying to look up
Hampton
what Vidal did last week. I don't have what he did in terms of his pass catching. He was obviously great on the ground.
Okay. One more Charger here, Daiyan Henley, the linebacker, who, if you don't enjoy this guy as a post-game interview, you don't enjoy it. He might be the best in the league, seriously, but he's certainly the best on the Chargers, a fun guy, and the only guy on the L.A. Chargers who's actually from L.A.
Same thing to everybody. You look great.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
You can work on it.
You look amazing.
I'm the face for radio.
Let's do it.
Okay. You're down 7-0, and then you're not, right? And then it's 14-0. I mean, how weird does that start?
I mean, you look at this team. You look at all 3
phases. You're just proud of what we did today.
Yeah.
But like I tell everybody is that we can't ride the waves, the highs and the lows. We just got to get back even keel and move forward to that next win. But we do celebrate this one because it was a good one. And we celebrate it again when we get another one.
I saw a lot of them through my binoculars what Carson Wentz was going through today.
It was dangerous.
You guys really took it to him. Every one of you has got to be smiling.
I got a couple licks on him. I even had a sack myself that got wiped off.
It did?
It did. My sack got wiped off. I'm pained about that.
Wow.
I'm pained about that. But
yes,
I mean, if you look at the guys around me, they ate good today. So I'm just proud of this defense.
yes. And what about the consistency of this team trying to get a bunch of wins together like it did at the beginning of the year?
I mean,
It's important to win it all.
Oh, 100%. It's just about getting that rhythm back. And we lost it. We went up and down. But let's get that rhythm back, that winning flow, back in the winning column, and, keep pushing forward because we got a lot more ahead of us this season.
And you got one more thing, O-line. Okay, you got Joe Alt back today.
Did
That
you
was
see him?
he was unbelievable.
Joe.
He looked like he'd been playing all along, huh?
All pro Joe. Joe missed a couple games, doesn't matter. No, right back, right in the bite.
Exactly.
I'm just proud of that guy.
Huge though,
battling
right?
back.
And he opened up those holes, and Vidal was fantastic.
100%. I'm just proud of him. The battle he has to persevere and go through the injury and have to sit and then come back and battle, man, and stick through the whole game. It's a lot of guys who go through these injuries. We've had some guys go down today, but just proud of the guy.
Okay, and I'm proud of you, sir, because we're two LA guys just having fun.
Come on now, two LA guys having fun. A good win today, so let's move on to the next one.
Enjoy it, man.
One. Thank you.
All right.
Anyway, that's Daiyan Henley. You can see he's just got a great personality. He's a hell of a player, too. He's really become a important linebacker for the Chargers. So, bottom line, could you lay anything close to 10 points on the road, no matter who you're facing with this club?
Tennessee has been what's the right word for it? They've been the remedy for all teams. You come into Tennessee. I know Arizona had a chance to be up, whatever it was, 26-3, and they blew that game. But everybody else has just been dominating Tennessee. You can't take Tennessee. I know that it's going to be popular to tease the Chargers just to win the game, for example, and 10-pointers and stuff. And it generally makes sense because what percentage would you give Tennessee of winning this game? 5%?
Yeah, exactly.
8%?
All right. Well, I think Tennessee has gotten more talk than they deserve for the rest of the season, to be honest with you. Your thoughts on what is your game of the week? The one you're looking forward to the most?
Let me look at that thing. I think it obviously has to be New England against not New England, Kansas City against Buffalo.
Okay.
I mean that's the game. We're all looking up at the Colts right now with the number 1 seed. But when push comes to shove, it's quite possible that the winner of the KC Buffalo game is going to have the number 1 seed. Yep. No offense to Indy could still finish with 11-12 wins. They could go 12-5. Fantastic season for the Colts. But one of Buffalo or KC, my top 2 power rated teams, probably going to go 12 wins or 13.
What about laying points on the road in this game and this type of a matchup?
Well, personally, that's not the side I'm looking at. So
exactly.
I wouldn't be laying it. Buffalo, they're the regular season champs against Kansas City. That's probably not something that they want to, that's like winning a minor tennis tournament, but then in the major, you can't beat the guy. So in this particular case, I think Buffalo, and we talked about this last week, Ted, they got 2 guys back from the defensive line that were on the PED suspension. They handled a Carolina team that runs the ball extremely well with 2 good runners. They had a runner, how do you say his name? Algier?
Yes, Algiers.
Yeah. Okay. So he ran for 4 yards last week.
Right.
I had him over.
Okay.
That tells you the fact that Buffalo shut this guy down. So very impressed with the fact that Buffalo has reinforcements there. Will it matter against KC? I mean, this could be a track meet, obviously. But the thing of it is, Josh Allen's not going to fear Kansas City's defense like other quarterbacks are going to fear. This should be a really good and fun game in front of the Buffalo home crowd.
I was going to say, though, as far as matchups go, what about the Buffalo D against the KCO and how they match up? Because of now Kansas City is finally on a roll right where they want to be. This is where they want to be in about 2 months from now, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll make a statement. Well, while I'm making a statement, Chris, I would like to hear Chris' words on where do you want? You want Buffalo's defensive rating or Kansas City's defensive rating? How about Chris gives us both Buffalo's and Kansas City's defensive rating? And but I will say this: in order to stop KC this year, prevent splash plays. Don't let Worthy get a 45-yarder. Don't let Rice go seam to seam where he catches it over the middle and runs after the catch 20 yards. Different KC team. Buffalo has to be prepared to stop the splash play.
I only have Buffalo at 16th defensively, so they've got a lot of room to move up. And I think they really need this game badly at this point. They're not only fighting for a remote chance at the number one, but they're fighting for the division. So,
right.
Unlike you, Ron, I couldn't care less about this game for whatever reason. I'm sick and tired of seeing this matchup. I want if it were the playoffs, I'd be interested. But because that's all it really matters with these teams. In my opinion, it'll be a one-score game, and one of the teams will win, and it doesn't matter until the playoffs.
Okay, that's the quote of the week, Ron. Quote of the week: one of the teams will win.
Well, it didn't happen every game this year. There was a game where none of the teams won, so you don't know about that. But Buffalo being 16th, Chris, on your ratings, I think that's strong at this point. I would probably have them about 19th or 20th. But again, that doesn't bother me because they're a different team with new players and reinforcements. They have their bye, they're healthy, and so on. So I think it's not bad that they're 16th to this point because they didn't look good at all early in the year.
But they're a little bit lower offensively than we see them usually ranked. They're in the bottom half of the top 10 on my list. Usually they have change of address forms for the top 5.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. I don't think all their receivers are hitting on all cylinders right now. They missed Kincaid for a game or two. He was out. They could do it. Cook has certainly been fantastic this year. And I think we'll see Josh Allen. If it's a track meet, if Buffalo loses, I have a feeling Josh Allen's still going to put up 275 yards or whatever.
I just think this is this is a far different Kansas City team than we've seen. It has the potential to be better than the last time they won the Super Bowl, frankly, and they were a strong team then. We were discussing it about a month ago. 3 or 4 weeks ago, we all agreed that there is not a team that you can call a great team in the league at that point in time. And all of a sudden, Kansas City shows us over the last 4 games, there is a great team. They are they've moved up. They're in the top 5 defensively from the middle of nowhere, and they're almost in the top 5 offensively. When have we seen that? They were closer to 20th last year. So
that's true.
And the big difference in years past, they were comfortable with these one-score games. Now they're putting teams away. They're putting the pedal to the metal a little bit, creating some distance. They're not playing games this year. I think Mahomes also has heard the chatter during the off season with comparisons and such, and the team in general is licking their wounds. I think they're all on a mission. They're on a quiet mission. Mahomes personally, the team personally, Mr. Swift personally, they're all on a mission.
Yeah. I'm
body language is good. Body language is good.
Oh, that's for damn
Mahomes
sure.
so.
No doubt about that.
But they will be on short week.
Okay, that's true. All right.
Boo-hoo. They'll be ready.
TBD. How about San Francisco is playing at the Giants. just a few thoughts on New York, what's going on with them, with the just awful injury to their running back Scadaboo, and how that's going to affect the growth of that team, because they were starting to, make a little bit of noise in that division, enough for everybody's respecting them all of a sudden.
Yeah, Chris asked me about the Scadaboo impact that he's not there, but we didn't get kind of what Chris, you thought about the fact that they're missing him. Where do you have the New York Giants right now in terms of finishing up this season?
And here's the awful injury, by the way. It was just
I have them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2. I have them 4 notches above Pittsburgh.
Above Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Wow. That's the difference.
I mean, I think this is going to be an interesting game. Do we know whether Purdy's playing or not yet?
I have not heard.
I'm going to say 75-25 he's playing.
Yeah, but you know what? There's no rush because Mac Jones is not killing him.
I don't want to go to the well that actually I'll disagree with that a little bit. He
fits in with his coach, right? He does what his coach wants him to do.
But there's not a lot of points being scored by San Francisco, and you don't want to get into that situation where a backup plays too many weeks. There's too much tape. And then you have Carson Wentz and some of these other guys, Browning and so on, where they're not productive anymore.
Absolutely.
I think the Giants can win this game. I think it's a good matchup. And, as you mentioned yesterday, Ron, they've got a goofy travel schedule, back and forth.
Yeah, San Francisco, that's true, because, they went to Houston, now they're going to New York. It's a weird situation. I haven't made a decision on this game, but if I like San Francisco, I'd rather have Purdy. If I like the Giants, I'd rather have Jones.
Is there a chance this game has it ever reached 3?
Yes, it's already 3.
Oh, it's already 3. Okay, so right there, that's a giant tempting value move, right?
Well, it's only a 3 minus 120 in a couple of places, and there are some flat 2.5, but I think it's going to touch 3.
Okay.
Yeah, well, again, there's only one experimenting.
There's absolutely only one side you can even look at there.
I would disagree. I could make a case both ways.
To lay 3?
Oh, to lay 3? No, not at 3.
We're talking about 3.
Yeah, at 3. No, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Exactly. What about Chicago at Cincinnati? What do you think of the slow growth of what Caleb Williams is doing over there?
I mentioned this with Chris yesterday, so we'll get Chris' thoughts, but this is a 1-year experiment. I think Ben Johnson needs a lot more time to determine whether this is the right guy, because there are throws that he can make that are bullet throws that are great. And there's other times you wonder, what was he doing? Or why is this throw why does he not have a touch pass? What's going on? I mean, everything seems to be fired off his arm.
Yeah.
I think he's out of there. I think you can see, he gets a little snippy at the press conferences. It just doesn't seem like Johnson really wants him. I think he needs somebody that can, follow direction better. And I know Caleb does a lot of things well, and I think it's probably going to be in the best interest of the coach and Caleb for them to part ways after this year, because I don't think that they fit, because, Johnson needs, a guy like Goff was the perfect guy for Johnson. That's going to, be functionally and mechanically in a cerebral way there, in a certain manner. And Caleb has a learning curve to go through before, he's ever going to be in that position.
Right. Of course, it all depends on who they replace him with next year, right? Do you get a decent draft pick and able to use him immediately, or are you going with a career
If
backup?
The NFL knows just to go to the Vikings and see who's on their roster.
Yeah.
Just take their quarterback.
There should be somebody left over, right? It's like Thanksgiving. It's the best leftovers in town, baby.
Yeah.
That's funny. What about the Packers? You know, forget that they're playing Carolina and they're obviously heavy favorites, but I want to get Ron's thoughts because we texted last week on Tucker Kraft and what he's doing and how you your expectations from him coming into the draft a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he was part of the Super 7 I mentioned to you offline.
Yep.
There were 7 outstanding tight ends that were coming out that year, and Tucker Kraft was not the most well-known coming out of the Carolinas, or
right.
Dakotas, actually. South Dakota, I think. So, but I loved his game, and it translated, and usually those guys take a year or so to develop, but we saw the signs right away. They actually drafted 2 tight ends, Musgrave, who has been hurt a lot.
Exactly.
You know, from a notable Pac-12 school, but he lost his job to Tucker Kraft, and deservingly so. And Kraft has been amazing, and he's soft-spoken, and he's a great guy. And tight ends matter in the NFL. It was National Tight End Day, and he tore it up, last week. And I think that's a weapon with complements everything else that Green Bay has offensively. There's a chance for Jordan Love to get on a roll because they have good tight ends that they could use.
And speaking of talking about everybody's tight ends.
Yeah. But seriously, folks, the one thing about Jordan Love last week, not only did he play very well, but I loved the play calling in that game against the Steelers. I thought that's the best offensive play calling I have seen the Packers have. And I know they've had a lot of success over the last several years. But at the same time, the way they did it, and again, part of that maybe was because they were playing the Steelers, but it was spectacular in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, they were down 16-7. They gave up field goals, not touchdowns. And they found their way back into the game. They trusted their offense. They probably talked at halftime and said, hey, we can do things against this defense. Let's just go out and execute.
Yep, absolutely. And right now, it's Aaron Rodgers is not getting a lot of talk because he's Aaron Rodgers, but he's one of the standouts on that team because he's not making a lot of mistakes. He's keeping them in every game.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Steelers are who they are. One more thing about tonight's game. I'm really dying to see the rust factor with a running quarterback. As will Lamar hold back a little bit and just say, you know what? I don't need to run tonight. Just play ball, baby.
Oh, I think game script will determine that. If Henry's running, right through Miami, no need to run. If the game is on the line, I think you're going to see Lamar run like Lamar would always run. I think they'll, one thing about a John Harbaugh coach team, he really doesn't care. He calls the game the same way no matter what. There's not a lot of deviation in my opinion. So that's not a strong suit, by the way. But I think they'll just run their offense.
And let's talk Chris's Lions here because they have an important game because it's a divisional game against the Vikings, who are still looking for one of their quarterbacks from last year. But J.J. McCarthy is what now? His status?
He's playing.
Yeah, he's playing, but his status in life, I mean, who is he? Right? We don't know who he is yet.
Well, he's obviously the future. They had Jones go through the system. They had Darnold go through the system. It just, the whole situation seems goofy because Wentz obviously had either broken ribs or something significant going into the last game.
Oh, he was.
And the rumor mill seemed to indicate McCarthy could have gone. And the fact that they would send a gimp Wentz out there instead of letting McCarthy out there, is that McCarthy's
No, McCarthy was the third string quarterback in that game. He was not the backup.
Well, yeah, but what is it, a mental issue with McCarthy at this point?
I have no idea. I think he needed one more week, I think. And again, he was not going to play in last week's game unless emergency and it was close to an emergency. I mean, you heard Daiyan Henley telling me, "Oh yeah, we were destroying Carson Wentz," and I mean, it was really bad. Yeah, I had my binoculars on him all day, and it was hard to watch.
Yeah.
Anyway, so your thoughts on the Vikings in this match?
Well, I'd like to get Chris's thoughts on what you think Detroit is going to be able to do against Minnie's offensive line. Again, Minnie's offensive line has allowed 28 sacks, and Chris has heard me far too often say it's a coaching problem there. That they're going to try to unload on McCarthy. Do you see? I mean, what do you think Detroit's going to bring to the table, Chris, defensively?
I think Hutchinson is going to be very happy after his 4-year extension.
Yes, you think?
You know, it really should be noted that they have all their superstars signed for years. Right. They've done a phenomenal job at the front office of keeping these players happy and keeping the mood in flow. And I'm not. I think my model doesn't indicate that there's value on either side on this. It would lean ever so slightly. It depends. The line keeps moving between 8 and 9, so I don't know where it is, but that's where my numbers are. But I have a feeling Minnesota is going to have a really tough time coming away with a victory. I think the Lions are. They know their schedule's tough ahead. They're in second place. They've got too many reasons to play well, and I think this is a maturing process. I'd be very shocked to see the Lions lay an egg in this situation.
Yeah, I totally agree. Ron, where do you have where do you have Detroit on your overall rating chart there?
They're third.
They're third, okay. Because I think you had them second before, didn't you?
Well, Buffalo moved up ahead of them. And
okay.
Detroit, I think, dropped down at one point, slightly. But they've been solidly in the top 5. Like we started the show with, Detroit wasn't ready week 1, but that didn't mean they weren't a bad team. They just weren't, as Dan Campbell said, they weren't prepared to start the season at the time. Well, they are now. And they also get Brian Branch back for this game after his 1-game suspension. Okay. You know, some of the quotes out there. First of all, J.J. McCarthy said all the right things in his press conferences today and last night. He's ready to go. He feels better than ever, and so on and so forth. So mentally, I think he is ready to play. Now, this is a tough task going against a very aggressive mindset of Detroit. I mean, that's always been their mindset. And then Branch has a chip on. Branch even used the words, "I have a chip on my shoulder," coming back from suspension.
Well, after watching Minnie last week here up close and personal at SoFi Stadium, my play of the week is the Detroit Lions. I think they're going to destroy them in this game.
Yeah. I couldn't believe how listless Minnesota was. I mean, you just knew they were hopeless out of the gate. And I had an interest in Minnesota. Minnesota teasers were dead out of the gate also. It just when you can't change anything about your performance or your demeanor or your passion coming out of halftime, you've got problems. I'm starting to wonder what the coaching situation is.
My biggest issue with that game was the fact that I didn't think, Minnie was not in a good spot anyway. And to travel on a short week for a Thursday night game to LA, I thought that was just a bad situation for them anyway.
Well, if they lose this game, they fall to 3-5, a lot more losses than they had the entirety of last year. And they're looking up and up in their own division.
Yes.
So if they don't pull this particular upset, this is another one where you say, are you buyers or are you sellers at the trade deadline?
Well, didn't we look at their season wins last week and determine they're going to be lucky to hit 6 games, aren't they?
Wow,
yeah, I think
brutal.
I posed that question for you. Their number was 7.5 before the Charger game, and we talked about that.
Interesting. Wow, that's very fascinating stuff. What are they keeping those numbers up every week, like you said they were before?
Yep, they are. Some of them doing things every once in a while.
Yeah, you got anything you can pass along what you're doing?
Well, I mentioned. I think I live bet San Francisco under 10.5 wins. Oh no, I live bet Jacksonville under 10.5 wins a couple weeks
ago. Yes,
ago.
Absolutely. I remember that.
Yeah, so we did that. Yesterday's show was a team total. We haven't gotten to that game yet.
The Lions practice report just came in. So, Malcolm Rodriguez, who hasn't been seen since game one, he's on limited practice. He may actually make it in the lineup this week or next. And Terrion Arnold had a full practice. Taylor Decker had a full practice.
Excellent.
Edge rusher Mohammed had a full practice. They're starting to get healthy. So only Kirby Joseph and Craig Reynolds did not practice.
So, Ted, remember we had that conversation about the LA Rams linebacker who I said, you can't kick him off the team. You'll find a way to have him on the team, undrafted free agent.
Yes, and I've got some interview with him saved for you, but I'm not ready for it yet.
A different time, yeah. Well, that's how I feel about the Lions and Malcolm Rodriguez at the time. I said he doesn't look like an NFL player, but he will make the team. He is Dan Campbell personified to make that particular team. I did not think he would start as many games as he did the second year because he's more of a special teams demon. He'll blow up every play that you ask him to, and in other situations. But he's overachieved even from what I thought he would do as somebody way down on the totem pole in terms of NFL scouts. I
don't think you can underrate having the right room in the building, so to speak. Campbell has certainly exceeded my expectations this year as, being on his own, so to speak.
Yeah, good point.
But he has the players that he wants, with the passion that he demands. And when you can get that type of passion voluntarily and without demanding it, when you can get that kind of passion out of obligation to your teammates with sincerity in a professional world, that's a very rare commodity indeed. So hopefully they can keep it up.
Well, you know what? My whole key to Detroit, because it looks like their defense is going to do just fine, is their O-line just holding up for Jared Goff, because as long as Jared Goff will breathe on this planet, he will have happy feet if there's anybody near him. And that's just the way it is. That's who he is. So that's the guy I remember from day one when he came into camp with the Rams. And when he has time, he has been spectacular. But keep it that way and keep him upright. That's bottom line,
Yeah, for all the things that he does well, it's you just shudder whenever he, has to be outside the pocket. You're like, no, don't embarrass yourself here.
Yeah, you almost feels like, you think like it's your grandmother, running around. It's like, just sit down, relax, don't do anything stupid.
The show is called Inside Blitz, and that's the area that Goff struggles the most, the inside blitz, and not enough teams understand that you don't just blitz from the outside. If you can penetrate right in the middle, it makes a difference. Part of handicapping is situational, technical matchups and whatever. But one thing, even though Minnie is an aggressive defense, Detroit's had their number easily the last 3 games they've hosted.
And I see Birdie's posting that Goff's a runner now because he had an 8-yard rush last game.
Was that a career high?
I don't know. It might be. It might be his career high total in a game, not just one rush.
Yeah, when he got married, they had the walkway was only 5 yards long.
Exactly. And he almost tripped, I think. But anyway, Jared's a good guy. We're just messing with him. But what about his old team, the Rams here this week? And just the fact that they're playing against New Orleans, they stink. And we've talked about how they're playing hard. But that's not going to last forever. And I think this is the biggest spread of the week, isn't it?
Correct. 2
touchdowns. So is this a good time for the Rams to come off a bye? As long as they're playing smart, and I don't think they're in cruise mode ever under McVay. So to just play your game, you're going to do well and hopefully just stay healthy.
Well, I mentioned it to Ron this morning. There's a stat out there that I'd forgotten about with backup quarterbacks playing their first game on the road. Okay. And as of like 2 years ago, that stat was a 60% cover rate because there's an overcompensation in the line against the backup quarterback making their first appearance on the road.
Right.
And actually, it's shown to be a benefit to a backup quarterback to start off on the road. So just one consideration with this game.
Is this the guy you're talking about here?
Yeah, the guy with the helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Number 2, who threw the ball and it was tipped by the lineman, and he said, "You know what? I'm not just going to tip it. I'm going to catch it." And then guess what, quarterback? You got to tackle me. Good luck, baby. Get out of my face. It's a touchdown. Good night, everybody.
Sadly, that's the way I would look if I was trying to tackle that guy.
Yeah, but you're not in the NFL. What are your thoughts on what's going on quarterback-wise with the Saints, Ron?
Well, as the guy who threw that pass, Spencer Rattler, had stayed relatively turnover-free this year compared to last year. But that was it. So now they're going with Tyler Shuck, 26-year-old rookie. And I don't know if Chris's data, 60% data, says rookie quarterback road first start. And I don't know if it says rookie quarterback road first start against a Ram front four that's going to go after him.
Yeah, but what are your thoughts on him?
On him?
Yes, on Shuck.
He was not a starter all 7 years that he was in college, or 6 years or something like that. I have him lower.
He should be a gazillionaire with NIL if he was in the league for that in college.
So I believe I did not have a second round grade on him, and I know he's drafted in the second round. So I'm lower on him than most people. I don't think this is your quarterback of the future, and I wouldn't be. And we'll see. Organizations do different things when they're young. They have a new head coach and this and that, whatever. I mean, they knew that they drafted him. So maybe this is their guy, and maybe I'll be proven wrong.
Right.
But not a good spot to start. Now, I will say this, and I think Chris has said this as well. The Saints are playing fine defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a really good defensive team. Their offense just is not doing them any favors. Kamara doesn't stretch the field, especially when he's used in the pass game. That Chris Olave has been fantastic. He stayed healthy, but they don't have a lot of other stuff there. Yeah. It's hard to name their tight ends. They don't know. I don't know if Taysom Hill's healthy or this or that, or not part of the game plan. I mean, he's playing, but he's not in the stat sheet.
Right.
So there's just not a lot, and their offensive line has been riddled with injury and retirement. They had Ramczyk retired and so on and so forth. Yep. So this is a long-term situation for the Saints. It's not a short-term situation, and they'll have a high draft pick. Yeah. I'm not high on what they're going to do offensively this week. I made that known in yesterday's show, and we'll see if I'm right.
Yeah.
Drake London and Michael Penix limited in practice again Thursday.
That's not good. Okay. I think the headlines after the Rams game will be "Aw shucks." What are you going to do, folks? By the way, the Taysom Hill thing, he's got a new coaching staff, so they may not want to use him the way the other guys did. And you never know. They never
used him properly anyway. It could only be for the better.
So if I were a contending team, I'd see about his availability right now. Nobody's talking about it, but there are certain teams that could. I mean, how about diversifying Houston's backfield, for example? And they have some extra draft choices, as it turns out. There's a few teams that could use and better utilize, to Chris's point, Taysom Hill than what the Saints are. I mean, the Saints are not going to the playoffs this year.
Right. You think?
If they buy tickets, they can.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, if they can afford it. Russell Saylor says Denver. And Sean Payton, you're talking about, that match of Russell Wilson didn't fit, Bo Nix, Drew Brees. That's his kind of quarterback. Taysom Hill would get some looks, although he probably would be lost with about 5 other guys they interchange at tight end and H-back.
What's going on with Washington? That's the night game on Sunday. Is there any news on the quarterback, or is it going to be Mariota?
No, Daniels is starting.
He is. I thought he was hurt again, though.
No, I'm not sure he was officially announced a starter, but I think he's going as far as I understand.
Okay.
I believe so.
Okay. So how do you see that game as another, again, Washington, they're not the team they were last year yet, and maybe they won't be, but being a home dog in this game.
Well, it is awfully surprising. On a first glance, you're sitting there going, who the hell's going to lay 3? I mean,
exactly.
But I'm under the belief that Daniels is gone for the season, whether he's in the lineup or not. I think the injury that he has is not something that heals up. And I think that that's bothering him. And,
so you mean, in other words, whatever happens, he's not going to be the same guy?
No, I think it's a bonus if when he's in the lineup, because I think you're going to get extra value betting against Washington. Washington's the oldest team in the league.
Yep.
And they're looking like it, and they're not playing anything like they did last year. And they're already in a hopeless situation. They're going to have to buy playoff tickets if they want to go.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I had Von Miller on this show, and I thought he was my grandfather. I wasn't sure.
And you mentioned that, and they have a line. Who's their linebacker? Their long Freddie.
Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner. He gets exposed. I mean, he is so instinctive. He's always around the ball carrier.
Yep.
The problem was he is a complete liability in coverage, and teams are scheming. He had to guard one of the KC wide receivers last week, and it was embarrassing. I felt bad when they showed the clip afterwards. There's no way he could keep up with one of the KC wide receivers.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Wagner, he's really a 2-down guy now.
Yeah, and it's sort of weird that you bring both he and Miller in at the same time. It's like, okay, well, what are you trying to prove here? You just want to have like statue football or what? Because they can't move like they used to.
Yeah.
But
it could be a lost year for Washington. Defensively, their stat sheet doesn't look terrible. They're doing some things right, but a ramp up in competition and you lose your star quarterback and he's not 100%. This is what's going to happen.
And Monday night, you got the game, which should be probably 70 over under, because that's just who Dallas is. It's only 53, right? Or 53 and a half.
Yeah. Well,
what do you think about Dallas? Just, two-way. We know they're going to give up a ton and they're going to score a ton.
I can't believe this line is set under a field goal this entire week.
What do you have it at? What would you make it?
Well, that's not my point.
No, I'm asking you though. What would your number be?
I just think it belongs on the 3. I cannot believe there is so little interest in Dallas that they haven't moved it up to 3. It's very telling.
Yeah.
Ron, what's your spread?
My number would be a 3 or a 3 minus 115.
Okay.
So I agree. I'm a little surprised that we're under 3, and certainly not a natural 3. I think it speaks to the fact that Arizona's record, if they just don't play the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, they might be in first place. The problem is Arizona has a coaching problem defensively. But Arizona, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to take Dallas as a favorite in this situation.
Yeah, I get it. It's hard to take Dallas as a favorite in any situation.
Yeah.
Well, we've been talking about how Arizona seems to fold like a paper napkin in the late in the game. And so I was looking at the first half stats, and they really haven't. I think they're 5-2 overall, in the first half. 3-2 with Murray playing. But we also looked up Murray's lifetime first half stats. And he is number 2 to Cutler as the worst first half quarterbacks there are. I think.
Wow.
Did I give you the stats on that, Ron?
I think you did. It was pretty bad.
He's like 35 and 52 or something.
Wow. The late great Jay Cutler
and Murray, and then guess who's number 3? Geno Smith.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it speaks to the fact that quarterbacks, the middle tier quarterbacks, are going to get you only so far. Arizona's ceiling is wild card playoff team. Eno's ceiling is wild card playoff team wherever he's been, Seattle and so on. But they're not Super Bowl potential at quarterback.
Yep.
I don't know what it is. I can't read my handwriting, but Dallas is in a 28-91 spot.
Wow. For what?
It must be coming off of it has to do with something coming off of a large loss, I would imagine.
Wow, 28-91.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Some of those things, just for the record, I don't trust entirely when it becomes a standalone game the next game, like a Sunday night or whatever. I like those kinds of things when they go Sunday to Sunday, predictable thing. But sometimes it gets skewed a little, But that doesn't mean I like Dallas. Arizona games tend to, when Arizona comes off a bye, they tend to favor the underdog next time out, 60%.
Yep. Got it.
So you got other things. And to answer Birdie in the chat, I'm not overthinking Washington. I'm not on Washington in the game.
I'm not on Washington in the game.
Yeah. So we got the wrong crowd.
Yeah. Pay attention, Birdie.
All I can say is I'm so glad I didn't have to show this picture again. That's the only way I can get Chris on the damn show is this picture. So welcome back, sir.
It's if you knew what it took to get me here.
Yeah,
I think it was a U-Haul or something, or I don't know what it took to get you here.
Time is a luxury.
Yes, I
Time
understand.
is a
Well,
luxury.
it's great to have you back. And any quick props tonight at all in the Ravens game?
Oh my
Ravens
goodness,
Dolphins?
I do, but I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, I thought you might
But
have.
you're
memorized.
stuck.
In that head behind the backwards hat. I thought you might
Yeah.
have it in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, my fine memory doesn't remember exactly what they are. So,
all right. Well,
but I do have a few press. I think let's go Lamar Jackson under his numbers has dropped, unfortunately,
Okay.
but I have him throwing, attempting under 29.5 passes. I'd even say under 28.5 passes is doing. I have him throwing about 25 to 26 passes.
Okay. Anything for you tonight, Chris, on the props story?
I have an interesting stat here that shows road favorites of 7.5 or greater with a total of 50 or greater are 39-2 to win the game.
Wow.
So it brings that segues into the other topic of the week. If you did not watch the show yesterday, this past weekend was the first weekend that I'm aware of in NFL history that a 6-point teaser would not have changed a loser into a winner. So I actually personally went through the database 21 or 22 years back. I found one week where 2 games would have changed to a push. But when you really think about it, anything, pre-2000, you're talking about lower scores and fewer games per year. The likelihood of, if you haven't seen it happen in the last 20 years, it never happened. So the teasers there's each of the years from 22, 23, 24, 25, fewer and fewer underdogs are covering. Underdogs are covering at the lowest rate ever. Even lower than 2017. They made a big deal last year about the favorites pounding the books. It's worse this year. And there's only one segment of teaser that actually is profitable so far, and that's a small home underdog this season. And traditionally, even with the underdogs not covering, back in 2017 when they weren't covering, they would still cover a 6-point teaser at a rate of 68%.
Okay.
And in a normal season, those underdogs are covering in the 72, 73% range. So far this year, they're at the 57% range. We are talking about just generational variance at this point. It's just completely off the radar. So you'd have to think there'd have to be some positive regression and they could be more favorable going forward, because you can't look at the history of the NFL and every year 68 to 72 on 6-point teasers covering. And now we're looking at 57. No.
Right.
So, but that's getting back to the Baltimore. I like Baltimore in a 7-point teaser or on a money line bet tonight. I think it's very unlikely that they don't come away with the win. Even though Miami's defense is a little healthier, they were supposed to be tapped as one of the best defenses in the league to start the season, and they just didn't start off that well. Nobody expected them to show up and shut down Atlanta last week, but they sure as hell did. So
Right.
I don't think they can shut down Baltimore, but while I'm saying that, Miami is the 4th worst defense in the league coming into the season.
Yeah, it's always something. What can I say? That's great stuff. Anyway, guys,
be interesting though to see what happens if Baltimore gets a double-digit lead into the late third quarter. Whether or not there's
then Miami will have them right where they want them. Just give Miami or give Baltimore a 17-point lead, and then Harbaugh will coach his way into a loss.
Just something to think about in the third and fourth quarter in case you want to turn it off.
All right. Well, we're going to turn this off because we're done. We talked way too long. I'm heading shortly to, and thank you for tweeting it out, Chris, to the special show here, the Robbie Krieger 60th Anniversary Doors Show, highlighting the Morrison Hotel album. That'll be at the Greek Theater tonight, and I got a great chance to interview Robbie on Sunday at his rehearsal. That was a ton of fun. So anyway, any music people in LA, if you don't know about it, there's, I think, a few seats left. So come on out and enjoy the hell out of it.
That was a good interview. And if you listen to this interview, you learn what the original song title of "Touch Me" was supposed to be, and why they changed it. So
I love that. Did you? So you didn't know that then, right, Chris?
I did not know that.
So are you going to play more blackjack because of it
tonight too?
What's that?
Billy Idol's going to be there tonight.
Yeah, and Haley Reinhardt is a really, really good singer. Nice girl. She's a local girl after growing up in Chicago. But hey, one of the things that I was wondering, are you going to be playing more blackjack because of Hit Me and not Touch Me? Are you a blackjack guy?
You just ruined the teaser.
Yeah, they were supposed to listen. No,
I didn't ruin it. I didn't ruin it. Now it gives them like, oh, really? I want to know the story behind that. I'm not going to say.
Don't say Rosebud before the end of the movie.
Oh God, you can't take me.
The Sixth Sense.
Rosebud?
Yeah.
No, that's.
I see Rosebud.
No, Rosebud is Orson Welles.
I know, Jesus.
Orson Welles. There. Oh, geez. We can go on for 20 minutes on that.
Remember Anthem War of the Worlds?
Yes.
Yeah, not almost.
We're done. Have a great week. Number 9. I'll see you at the SoFi Stadium. Rams and Saints Sunday. Taysom Hill or not. See you guys.